Hanji Vaidji Ka Khalsa, Vaidji Ki Fateh Ji. Ravinder Singh here in Columbus for another session of Khoj Gurbani. We are continuing with Asa Ki Vaar. We're on Pauri 23, which is a rather short one. So hopefully it will not be a full session, or if we wish to continue on with the 24th. It all depends on what sorts of questions and discussions we throw up. So with that said, let me first read through the two sloks, and then we'll go back to a discussion. Slok Mahalla Duja, एक ने ही दात आपस ते जो पाई है, नानक सा करमात साहिब तुठै जो मिलै। महला दूजा, एक ने ही चाकरी जित पाओ खसम न जाए, नानक सेवक कांडिया जैसे ती खसम समाए। पौड़ी, नानक अंत न जापनी हर ताके पारावार, आप कराए साखती फिर आप कराए मार। एक ना गली जंजीरियां एक तुरी चढ़े बिस्यार, आप कराए करे आप आओ कैस्यों करी पुकार। नानक करना जिन किया फिर तिस ही करनी सार। So those are the two sloks, and I'm not sure if there is any benefit in me trying to insert my English literal translations. You can actually see them on the screen. But let's start with a little bit of historical context. If you recall, a few weeks ago, Inderpreet Singh sort of emphasized the importance of the historical context. And these sloks from Mela Duja, Guru Angad Dev Ji, are actually interrogative in nature. As you can see, it starts out by questioning ek nahi daat and then ek nahi chakri. And in one of the previous sloks, he also questioned ek nahi aski. Now, history tells us that Sri Chand, Guru Nanak Dev's eldest son, he had many supporters within the Panth at the time of his father's death, and he in fact laid claim to the office of the Guru. So it appears that these sloks from Guru Angad are actually aimed at Sri Chand and are reminding him, one, that you're really a self-proclaimed guru, that you're laying claims. So that's why he's saying, "Ek nahi daat aapas te jo pahiye." What sort of a gift is this that you've pretty much bought for yourself or received by your own asking? And then he also, in the next slok, goes, "Ek nahi chakri jit pao khasam na jaye." And this is really, in a historical context, the fact that he challenged his father as well and did not really follow the instructions and did not subscribe to the teachings fully that Guru Nanak wanted to pass on. So that is the historical context. It makes sense if we see here that this might just have happened. So what he's saying is, "Ek nahi aski, aapas te jo daat jo paiye." So even if you were to look at it from a worldly perspective, let us say, gifts are usually bestowed on you. You don't go and buy a gift for yourself, pretty much. And I think that's the idea. And so that's why the second line here says, "Nanak Sakar Mat Sahib Tuthe Jo Mila." So it is somebody's happiness that results in a true gift. And then in the next slok, he goes on to say, "Ki nahi chakri jit pao." I mean, the word is pao, which we translate as fear, but if you look at it even from a purely worldly sense of the meaning, um, a servant anticipates the needs and the desires of the master. In other words, Nanak Sevakari Jaseti Khasam Samai becomes totally merged with the master, right? That's the literal meaning here. But what we are to take from here is to say that a servant can read the mind of his master. He's so well versed with the thought process of the master that he can anticipate exactly what the master might need. So when you're serving someone, it actually behooves you to understand what your master might require of you. So that makes for a good servant. And then we come on to the Pauri, which is Nanak Antana Japani, Nanak Antana Japani, Har Take Paravar, Aap Krai Sakti, Fir Aap Krai Mar. All of these lines here in the Pauri are really, you can think of it as, at
Yes.
least I do, think of it as the conclusion to be drawn from this. Here you have the backdrop of Sri Chand challenging Guru Angad, challenging his own father, laying claim to the Guruship, and yet it is Guru Angad who gets the Guryai, and Guru Angad in turn responding and trying to make it clear that, this is a gift that I got from my master. And then the Pauri pretty much, I think, sums it up as a play. I mean, there's no telling, in other words, how things will play out, because we have no way of fathoming creation and the creative process. We have no way of fathoming the beginning and the end of this wondrous play around us, that we are all, uh, you know, actors, so to speak, with a script given to us. And some of us are meant to be bound. Now, I'm using the very literal worldly meaning. We can obviously translate this to have inner meanings as well, which is perfectly valid. But the Janjiriyan could be actual physical chains. They could also mean chains of the mind. And the Turi Chare Pisyar could mean rare horses, Arabian horses, literally, or they could actually mean Turi Avastha, which is the state of mind that a Gurmukh aspires to. So the bottom line here is, in the Pauri, that there is really no telling how things play out. It is all scripted for us. We have very little control over how things will shape, what the outcomes will be, and where we will land up and how things will happen. And in the end, it says, Nanak, karna jin kiya fir tis hi karni saar. So the one that has set in motion this play is the one that ultimately knows about it. That's my take on this rather short slok. Hanji, Chetandeep, do you want to moderate? Do you want me to go around? Dilpreet, do you want to start with any observations on this?
Anjivirji, I think you explained it well and covered all the points. So, other thing which was coming to my mind was that Guru Nanak introduced the concept of love and not fear, right? And he introduced the concept that the disciple should not be fear disciple should be fearless of his master, and that is what he in his teachings also he is stressing, that we should love Vaheguru and we should not do things under the fear. I think the second slok is emphasizing the same thing, that you should be in love with your master and understand what he is saying and practice it, and not do anything just out of fear that he will not be happy. That was one thing which was coming to my mind. And then the Pauri is written by Guru Nanak Dev Ji and sloks are by, I think, Guru Angad Dev Ji. And then the Pauri, it is, I was getting a message more of a hukam, that everything is happening in the hukam. And it is not that somebody is doing or changing or controlling things. I think it is the another way of Guru Nanak representing that things are in motion and everything is in hukam, and hukam is doing things. So this process is going on and everything is part of that process. I think he is referring to which we call it as a hukam. Thank you, Virji.
Hanji, thank you. You raise a good point about fear, not being the fulcrum from which a Sikh should operate. I absolutely agree with you. And yet the word here is pao. And I think part of the issue, at least insofar as I understand it, is that we have decided to translate Bao as fear for some reason, and I'm inclined to believe that it might have some associated meanings as well. And I like to believe that Pao also applies to discipline, a method, a way. So I think what is being said here is that an ideal servant, someone who's in the capacity of a servant, should really begin to understand the the framework, how the master operates, should understand the operating system that he's working in, rather than being fearful.
That's
um,
right. I think it is shedding the light that how our relationship should be with Guru Granth Sahib now.
right,
And as if we take Guru Granth Sahib as our Guru,
right.
and we should rely on the teachings and understand the teachings and practice it, or otherwise just worshipping it like a idol
Yeah, yeah.
and thinking that
Or being driven by, because I think even today most people are driven by existential fear. Uh,
right, there is a fear, and then there is another gray area, which one person will say is respect, and it is the another form of fear. And we are then they when we claim that we are doing these things out of respect, but we don't call it as fear. That is the another, I think, misunderstanding we have.
I agree. At least that's what I think. I mean, I think that the word Pao perhaps it requires a broader interpretation than just pure fear, because it makes much more sense to me to say that if you're in the service of someone, that you want to be able to understand the mind of that someone that you're serving. And if we are in the apprenticeship of the Guru, which we are, then it behooves us to understand the framework of the guru, or the mindset, gurmat. In other words, we need to understand what gurmat is. That to me is the power.
हाँ जी भैया।
Thank you ji. हाँ जी, परमजीत राणावीर जी।
I'm just in the listening mode. I just came after some time.
अच्छा जी।
Yeah, I'm just listening today, please.
हाँ जी, कुलवंत कौर भैन जी।
Hello, Hanji. Virji, I think it's really good that you explained in the historical context. It really helps me to understand the meaning of the first two sloks. Um, yes, I'm also thinking that the Mahalla Duja also, I understand that you shouldn't serve your master out of fear. You should be serving him with love, not out of fear that there could be any, in fear, like something we should not, like we should not be afraid that, something wrong could be done if we don't, but we should automatically serve him with love. And that's all I think. That ek nahi dat, the first log a bit confused. Ek nahi dat apas tejo paye. I think I'm understanding it as we don't get, if we think that we get whatever we have with our own efforts, um, then how come in the I relate these lines to the party ikna gali janjira puri chade bikyar, means I think Gangsav is explaining here disparity, that some people's um have chains, some people's are uh, like turi chade bisyar, means they are happy, or they have certain things. There's a disparity, I feel. If we get things with our own efforts, then how come there's a disparity? This is what is bestowed upon us by, by God, or I'm a bit confused here.
Hanji,
Couldn't.
Hanji, no, I think you're raising a very good point. I think
Mm-hmm,
एक नहीं दात आपस से जो पाई है नानक सा करमात साहिब तुठे जो मिले.
mm-hmm,
One can view this in multiple ways. We
right.
know, for instance, that in the spiritual sort of dimension of things in Gurmat, right? We
Mm-hmm,
know, for instance, that ete chanan hondiyan gur bin goranda, right? So you need the guru in
right.
order to realize your true self. That much we know, right?
Okay.
So Guru Angad Dev Ji's interrogative line here, to even if it's aimed at Sri Chand, is
Right.
saying, how did you become a guru? Because you were not anointed a guru by Guru Nanak, right? Or at least to the office
Right.
of the guru, right?
Right.
The office of the guru did not pass down to you. So that's the history here. But philosophically, or at least from a spiritual perspective, we know that without the guru, no spiritual awakening can happen. At least that's the path of Sikhi, correct?
Right.
So
Right.
that's another thing, meaning that through your own efforts, it's not going to
Mm-hmm,
lead you anywhere. And the third dimension is that you've raised that even with your own efforts, there is still disparity.
right.
And that disparity is something that we really cannot explain because, as Dilpreet said, there is a big process, there's a big hukum running the show,
Right.
and things just happen. I mean, and we are really not in a position to
Mm-hmm.
explain these disparities, and that is where we need to basically just accept.
Just accept. Right.
Anji.
And we should continue doing our. I was wondering that what's the role of our efforts. So now I understand we should do our effort. We should just, without thinking of the outcomes or the results, honestly do your efforts.
Yeah, I think if you really, my sense is that in the worldly sort of where we live and what we do on a day-to-day basis,
Right.
you if you're really completely dialed into your work and you do it with the best of your ability, uh,
Right.
that's all that you can do. Because regardless of what you do, you cannot guarantee any outcome, right? Uh,
Yes.
you may
Yeah.
succeed sometimes, you may not succeed other times. So the point is, why even attach yourself to the outcome? Just kind
Right.
of apne karm kari chalo, so to speak,
That- Right. Okay.
right?
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you, Vijay.
That's an interesting point. Hanji, Chetandeep Singh ji.
Hanji Vijay, I've been just thinking about all the discussion going around here, and
Dangerous, Hanji.
it seems it. I mean, it seems good to hear that ki, do your own work, apne karam kare chalo, and just be dialed into your work. But why even that model? Like I think, like why even have that model at all? If we are saying there is disparity in the actions or efforts, then any model is a good model, even not doing anything or doing everything. Like, how does it matter anyway?
Well, it doesn't matter, but I would contend with you that not doing anything will not be an option eventually. Try doing nothing for a day or two and see how irritated you get with yourself, and you'll want to do something. So I think that we are built to do something. You just can't sit around unless you've got issues of other kinds. I mean, try spending a week, Chitandeep, doing nothing.
No, no,
I get.
I get it, Virji. I'm talking from a spiritual
So
perspective.
it's so you're answering your own question.
No,
The answer is it doesn't really matter.
no, Virji. I think what we are doing here, we are mixing two things. One is a spiritual message, which says there is an effort and there is a disparity and there is nothing we can do about it, right? And then, but at the same time, we in our discussions tend to place one model higher than the other.
I don't know that we are doing that, at least not consciously. I think that the model that we have in our day-to-day life is really something that has been impressed upon by the environments we live in, right? So we tend to do what impressions we get from people around us, our parents or whatever, and so you follow those models, and people question those models, right? So when we were conversing with Kulwant Kaur Panji, we were trying to look at this salok from multiple dimensions. So one of them was, we always talk about, hey, what is the takeaway from me here in this world? This particular salok also relates to the spiritual dimension, which says that you need a guru, right, to be able to get to the point. I don't even like using that lingo, saying getting to a point, because I don't think there is any point to get to, but
Mm.
I have to use that in the context of our conversation. Otherwise, we can't have a conversation. So, so I'm not sure that there is any hierarchy that we are trying to draw. I'm just sort of trying to look at it from multiple perspectives,
So,
and not privileging one over the other.
sure. So I actually had a couple of questions on the meanings of the lines. I understand that you came at these lines from a historical perspective, but if we were to look at them from a spiritual message that Guru Angad Dev Ji is giving us, I couldn't understand the meaning of word apas. Like apas, basically, like in English translation would be between, maybe. So, like what
आपस ते पाइए एक नहीं दांत आपस ते जो पाइए.
right? So what is he actually saying in this? Like from
Well,
a
I don't think apas here means between us. I think apas simply means with one's own effort. Apni,
okay,
right?
okay,
एक नहीं दांत आपस ते जो पाइए, which that you've sort of obtained with your own effort.
okay.
At least that's how I read it. But I think when we go further down, some others can chime in on it. But that's my sense, that it's not between, but one's own.
And in the body, the second last line, "आप कराए, करे आप, how कैस्यो करी पुकार," right? So the way it seems to me is like if everything is your doing, then whom should I, uh, uh, whom should I go for help? But in the last body, we actually read Nanak hukam na chale naal khasam chale ardas, right? So we read the word ardas couple of times, and I mean, what exactly is being said in this line? If you can clarify a little more.
I don't know. I mean, I'm just guessing, like, what is being said. I mean, I'm just guessing that the last two lines are simply reflecting man's inadequacy in the face of what he sees around him. I mean, that is the simplest way that I can put it.
Hmm.
And I think that we sometimes read different, different Pauris in different contexts, right? So, and oftentimes there may be different contexts in which things are being said. In this context, I read these lines as just being a reflection of man's helplessness in the face of, a universe that is overwhelming and in some ways ineffable and indescribable, fathomless. So, Guru Nanak, at least my take on it is, he's telling us that, well, I mean, if the show is being run by Hukam, as Dilpreet said, then just play along with Hukam.
Right, but another perspective I would like to add is like in our normal life, we don't realize this perspective on a daily basis. So what I'm mean to say is like this is like a state of mind of, I think the body is written by Guru Nanak, right? So
Yeah.
it's a state of mind of someone who is saying, like as you said, helplessness, or but this can only come from a very high spiritual mind rather than if a person who's really awakened.
Obviously. Obviously. I think that's stating the obvious, Chetandeep. I mean, this whole Bani is coming from a mind that is in a completely, in a different avastha, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, I think Guru Nanak himself has made it very clear that this is not my own saying. Now, ape bolna bolda, right? So, yes, it is coming. It is inspired speech. I mean, let's put it very simply. Let's not get too caught up in, mumbo jumbo. But it's inspired language. It's inspired speech. It's giving you insights into the reality around you. I think it is for each one of us to figure it out on our own, and we can kind of help each other a little bit. But I think in the end, we all have to figure it out.
Okay, Virji, thank you.
Thank you, Ji. Thanks for that point. Very interesting. Anji Gurjit Singh Virji, any thoughts? Okay, he's probably.
Hanji Virji. Hanji Virji.
Hanji, Hanji, you always spring a surprise on us. Just when we think you're gone, you're there.
No, I know this. I put a lock on this thing. It goes on lock. Then I unlock it and then go onto the
Acha, acha.
screen.
Yes, ठीक है जी. Hanji, any thoughts, ji?
No, it's quite a good discussion. I think you got the point about Shri Chand, which um, is going along with it. And it's quite obvious that I don't have to speak on that. You took it, which is good. Let's, आपस के जो पाइए is, I think, quite important that there are indications that the man has to become a chakar. Then this thing happens. The second step is then when he says, Ek nehi daat. Daat is given by the Shabad Guru. But to become unified within us, the outer and inner consciousness has to be united before you get the daat. That's what chakri is. The chakri is to bring it closer. Then, ek nehi daat aapas jo paiye. Then within me is given in Sukhmani as well. You know, jan mein, brahm mein jan. Janme Par Brahm, that's the second stage. Like you are a child, then you become a father, then you become a grandfather. It's all these stages happens within you. It's quite similar to that. And this is what the karama. We don't believe in any other karamat in the world. We said this is the real karamat, that I was born as a human and then ultimately became a devta and then ultimately became a Puran Brahm. So this is something which is very special to Gurmat.
What other thing which was coming to my mind was that what is the takeaway message, or what is the moral, or what is the teaching for us? Okay, so here is what I am thinking. That first body explains that how we can improve in relationships with other or our interactions, because ek ke nahi daat aapas te jo, if we can keep appreciating our actions, that okay, I am doing good or I am great, but what matters is if the receiving end of my actions or interactions also appreciates it. I think that is the takeaway, one message which I have. And for the second body, that in our relationship or communicating with other, we should give others a freedom to question. As you said, right, that we can agree and we have an option to disagree, and we can same time we can respect other persons and we can question it also. So the second body is that whenever we are having a conversations, that we should have a freedom that everything can be questioned and with respect, and then we should not be afraid of asking a question. I think that will make it better learning for us. I think that is what the takeaway I can come up with for the second body. Thank you, Vijay.
Okay, so Dilpreet, I just want to respond to you. I totally agree with you that people should be free to question. No question there. I mean, I'm the last. I certainly agree with you. However, you also have to realize that we have a very limited amount of time here. And I, being the moderator, sometimes have to cut people short in the interest of time and in the interest of moving on. Because if there is a disagreement, then we can just lay it off to the table and agree to disagree and move on and solve it somewhere else. This does not become the forum then to just sort of stretch out your disagreements, right?
No,
So,
that is
but
right, Vijay, because with respect, I think
yeah,
what we have to, as we are doing, is we can put our point,
yeah,
and we should not fight to prove that okay, that my point is right or your is wrong,
that is
because
precisely what I'm saying.
you can also, it is a takeaway for both of us,
Yeah.
and then later our mind will question ourselves and we will learn from.
Absolutely, absolutely. That is precisely the point. Thank you. Hanji Chetandeep Singh ji.
No, basically, I don't have anything to add in this. So,
Hanji Kulwant Kaur Bhen ji. I think she. Hanji. Any last thoughts on this body? None. Gurjit Singh Vir ji, any final thoughts?
Hanvirji, I think it is written that Lahneta Rion Chhatra Sir, Kar Sifti Amrit Piv there. But that's more to do about a Chhatra. What is a Chhatra? Even same is said about
Virji, any
Pancham
last
Pasha.
thoughts here on this and this body that we are
So
considering?
Yeah, it's a part of it. So the ultimate idea which we are getting is that there is a karamat happening, but I have my own effort to do. I have some effort to do from my end. I get to become a chakra before I get that dat. It's not blessed without I do an effort. So I have my own part to play in this spiritual world, and then the Sahib will do the dat. Dat always come from him.
हाँ जी, ठीक है जी, thank you very much.
Usually, can I
Uh,
ask something on the on this story again? Do you have some time here?
I'm sorry,
I'm saying, can I ask a question on this story?
is it aimed at me?
In general, I think it's something
Sure.
that Gurjeet will said, but I think we have been discussing. I think my previous question was around the same effort and uh, Sahib Tutle Jo Mile and the disparity. But I think my question is more, maybe more, I can be more articulate, not in the worldly sense, but in the purely spiritual sense. Does effort have any role to play?
My effort, yes. I have my own effort to do.
But the sloks are telling us, or I think even we spoke about it before, the Sahib Tutte Jo Mile. In the end,
Yeah, but how Sahib will agree to that? If I say I can go against a hukam, that's not an effort. I have to restrict that. Whatever param is in me, I have to clear that. That's why Gurbani is written.
I
The
think
whole purpose of Gurbani is that the jeev has to become a chakar. He has to take the apapa off. It doesn't become a chakar. That's why he's saying, "Ek nahi chakri jitpo khasam na jaye." What sort of chakri is done by someone if he's not getting into the stage in which Guru Angad got? So our effort is there, but what is happening is, there is a universal hukum happening.
So
We have to appreciate that.
can I add something to that, Gurjeet Bhai, to what you're saying?
हाँ जी हाँ जी हाँ जी हाँ
So Chetandeep, I think part of our problem stems from the very language we use, right? So, for instance, you use the word effort, and then the word chakri in the slok itself suggests effort, the effort of a servant. And then if you heard Gurjeet Viji saying that we have to actually remove our param, right? That is why Gurbani is here. So, what I'm trying to suggest to you is that we should not think in terms of any kind of physical or mental effort. Removing your param requires the light of Gurbani in your mind. And it's a realization. It's like, as you said, an awakening. It's an awakening. The param actually is what gets the doubt in your mind, the dubida. So I'm not sure that there is a physical effort involved.
can
It
I,
is it is really a realization that must dawn on you, and the
understand,
chakri is of the mind.
I understand what you're saying, but the first line of the slok, I think it's very revealing, and as you explained to me, एक ने ही दात आपस से जो पाई है, right? I mean, I think it's a statement that
Yeah,
it, what is this gift that is taken by your own effort,
right, right.
right? So that includes chakri too. That includes removing the param, like
Yeah. So I know. Yes,
वो
others can chime in, but that is why.
वो है ना वीर जी अपन हथी अपना आप ही का सवारी है दैट्स has to come in between. There is some effort I have to do myself.
But in
There is
the end, but Virji, in the end, it is really the Guru's bakshish that comes in, right?
yes, in the
So,
end,
so
yes,
the, in
that's
the
what he has
end,
said.
and that is precisely the point, Chetandeep. In the end, you have to do your effort, but in the end, it is the Guru that will actually give you the realization.
I mean,
I
so we are like in a prasad. When you distribute prasad, we send with the cup. We sit with a cupped hand. Doesn't matter when the guy is going to come to you. Just keep sitting with the cupped hands. That's what we have to do.
So I think the idea here, Chetandeep, is that you have to prepare yourself. You have to become receptive, and then how it is poured into that receptive vessel is really not in your hands.
I think what I am getting the feeling that we are actually confined by the boundaries of language and words.
Yes.
Because Guru has very clearly saying आपस से जो पाई है, right? एक
Yeah.
यही बात है, like no matter how.
No, the reason the Guru is saying that is, let's jump back into a historical context, right? When they are saying here, ek nahi chakri, I mean, ek nahi daat rather. If you read at least I will share with you some of the vyakhyas that I heard as a kid, right? As a child. These came from people who were reliant on the Satiks and so on, or whatever their perspective was. But there is a perspective there, right? So the explanation was apas te jo paiye, people felt that they could do mantra ratan, that they could engage in tapasyas, and they could do different things, and therefore acquire some sort of riddhiyan siddhiyan. Okay, I mean they felt that they could do this. This is really addressing that,
Okay, okay.
right? So this is suggesting to you that you might be able to perhaps, with your own effort, acquire riddhi or siddhi or whatever, but that is really not even the point, because that is not what Gurmat is all about.
ठीक है, sure Vijay.
Can I give you one? Can I give you one pankti? It's
Haan ji.
actually the negative. It says Nanak apan katari apas ko lai. Man apna kino faat. This is what opposite to what Angad ji is saying. All effort is my effort. Whether I become a Gurmukh or Manmukh is my own wish. If I do an effort for Gurmukh, I will achieve that. But apas is between the two, inner and outer consciousness. Until they merge into each other, you join your hands, then the prasad will come, as Virji has said. We just wait for our turn then. But effort is there. There is an effort to be done by the mind to leave his bad habits and gain the guns. And gun ka guni samavaniya, is that how it happens?
So in that effort, you can include this current session.
Of course, why not?
Chetan,
It's everything
it's
is in the
time
hukam.
well spent.
Yeah.
I guess
it's all in the hukam.
Yeah.
Just we have to regard it.
Yeah.
I don't like the word effort. I think
Yeah, that throws you off because effort is associated with some sort of physical exertion.
not only that, effort is something that is done by me.
Yeah. Yes.
But the effort is done by me to remove my me. That's
Yeah, that is the
That's what's
trick.
throwing us off.
Yeah, it is your hand trying to claw itself.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, I mean it is like you trying to see your own seeing. I mean it's paradoxical, but that's what it is. But that's because of language. Ji, anybody else? Ji, one last call before we call it off.
Right. There is one more thing which is coming to my mind is one side we are talking about effort and that, and then other side we are saying that Guru is nirvair also, that when he is giving bakshish, he will not look at anything else, right? His bakshish is coming to everyone equally. So, anything on that?
Anybody want to talk about that?
Canary ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਵੀਰ ਜੀ ਇੱਥੇ I think
It's an emphasis.
ਨਹੀਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਇੱਕ ਦੋ ਵਾਰ I think Ravinder ji has used that term.
ਸਭਨਾ ਤੇ ਨਜ਼ਰ ਤੇਰੀ
ਹਾਂ
ਸਭਨਾ ਤੇ ਨਜ਼ਰ ਤੇਰੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਥੋੜੀ ਤੇ ਗਨੇਰੀ
ਕਨੇਰੀ ਲੈਣ ਦਾ ਹੀ ਕੰਮ ਹੈ ਸਾਰਾ
ਹਾਂ ਬਸ ਉਹ ਗਨੇਰੀ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਲਾ ਇਟਸ ਲਾਈਕ एवरीवन हैज द flame ਉਹਨੂੰ ਜਗਾਉਂਦਾ ਕੌਣ ਹੈ
that's it
that's right
that's the whole idea
flame ਤੇ ਹੈਗੀ ਏ ਕੋਈ ਬੁਝਾ ਦਿੰਦਾ ਆਪਣੀ ਮੂਰਖਤਾਈ ਨਾਲ
that's right
ਮਨ ਮਤ ਨਾਲ ਕੋਈ ਜਗਾ ਲੈਂਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਭਾਂਬੜ ਮਚਾ ਲੈਂਦਾ that's the difference
again isn't that his play that's what the Pauri is saying ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬੁਝਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ that is his
ਨਹੀਂ ਉਹ ਹੈਗਾ ਨਾ ਸੀ ਚੇਤਨ ਦੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਪਤਾ ਕੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਏ ਇਹ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ his play and me in it ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ ਨਾ you are presuming a separation between you and whoever this him is okay whereas there is none all reality ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੀ ਹੈਗੇ ਹੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਲੈਂਗੁਏਜ ਉਹ ਬਣਾ ਦਿੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਬੈਰੀਅਰਸ ਫਿਰ ਉਹ ਫਿਰ ਭੰਬਲ ਪੂਸੇ ਚ ਪੈ ਜਾਈਦਾ
right
it's circular
that's what we are doing when we think ਕਿ ਕੋਈ ਬੁਝਾ ਦਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ
yeah well ਉਹ ਫਿਰ ਗੱਲ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਕਰੀਏ ਨਹੀਂ ਤਾਂ ਗੱਲ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀ ਫਿਰ
right
I mean,
but
as long as
अपनी
you're aware.
capacity तो है ना, we are capable of doing either.
Yeah.
Yeah. संगत का फर्क है. If you go to good संगत, you just change. If you don't go to that, then it's your bad luck. But still, nothing will be lost because he's still Dayalu. He give you chances again and again. You will only delay your mukti, nothing else. That's it.
I would say there's nothing to delay either. सब चलता ही पे है.
चल रहा है, but means
ऐसे भी ये
the
बनाया है
only
वीर जी के mukti or whatever. I think it's all happening as this Pauri is saying. I certainly
नहीं
buy into that.
happening ते है, nothing. वो worried नहीं है. मतलब worry सानू चाहिए है कि if I am doing it early, then I'm at that stage early. If I'm delaying it, I'm delaying it myself. He's not worried about that at all.
ठीक है जी.
Okay जी.
I think we've had a good discussion, and Pulchuk Mark. We'll
Okay.
meet next week for the last 40. Thank you very much for
Okay.
joining again. Vaheguru Ji Ka
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ
Khalsa,
ਖਾਲਸਾ,
Vaheguru Ji
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ
Ki Fateh.